that burnt on triple gold things that niggas be hating. Cause I'm straight from ATL and the West Side is what I'm claiming. But niggas all loving my shit, talk about a trick. I just dismissed when I left that hoe in 96. After she cut my whole clique. Now I'm getting rich and getting paid. Cooley C got the tracks made in play. All haters skip a trade cause you got that shit you cannot fade. Like us players on the hoe, my clip blowing up like nitro. Give me your ass a little more. Really though, act like you know, but niggas can't maintain. I don't wanna try to rearrange this whole rap game. Talk about East Coast and West Coast when this shit is all the same. But I'm from the South where niggas stack G's, go grills and moving keys, and pimp hoes every day. And floss on triple gold D's, and it's like that, Buster, and you know it don't stop. On the spray paper mission with these young G's from my block. So if you a bust that's hating and fake it on the real, it's a young play on for the black land. See smooth from
Yeah. We back. Hey, the Real Atlanta Podcast here. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? What's cracking? What you got going on? Hey, man. Hey, it's Sunday again. So we're here. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're doing. So today, hey, my partner in crime, he's somewhere flying somewhere. I don't know where he at, man. He can't even tune in. But my boy Moolah, hey, what's going on, bro? But hey, today we got a special guest, my real partner. You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing about it, if I have somebody on here, I know them. You know what I'm saying? So I got my real partner on here, man. Harbor High graduate. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but one thing about Mr. Grady Baby himself, Terrence Albright. But look, in the football season, I call him Real. Only real I call him Real because, you know, he know it's a personal thing. But hey, we here with my partner, man. We come tonight. We're gonna talk some stuff. We're gonna be real Atlanta stuff. So we got to click in with the people who know real Atlanta, right? So let's hear. Hey, man, the Grady Baby Company, man. That's my partner's brand. So look, introduce yourself, bro. Come on, let's have it.
Hey, listen, I'm Terrence Albright. I am co-owner of Grady Baby Company and Apparel with my wife and 3 kids. Alex, who's 27, Carrington, he's 15, and Channing, she 14. We on Instagram as Grady Baby CO and TikTok and fan base, all the platforms, Grady Baby CO. You can buy our merch online. We're in all the Foot Lockers around Atlanta.
Hey.
And we're in the airport on Concourse T and D. So check us out.
For sure. Hey, man. Listen, man. Tonight, man, we got a little special thing going on. Tonight, I want to talk about, we got 2-parent households, right?
Yes, sir.
And we got 2-parent households, right? Then we have the single-parent households. But, hey, man, we want to know which one's the best. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because you got people thinking this way. Because I know my man here, right? The reason I brought him today because I know he has his kids in the household with him, 2-parent household. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he was raised that way, but I was raised in 2-parent household. And I had my kids in 2-parent household, but that definitely don't mean they're gonna go the right path. You know what I'm saying? So. So tonight we're gonna discuss these things and see what's going on with these kids, man, because there's so much going on in the city, man.
You know what I'm saying? It's interesting. I was just looking on the way out here. I had a flash go across my phone from Atlanta News First, and it talked about a 15-year-old that was shot multiple times last night. He was shot in the head, the arm, and his backside.
Right.
And he's in the hospital. He didn't die. And I was just thinking about my own life. I grew up in Four Seasons, Thomasville.
Right.
And you have to be from Atlanta to really understand what that means, growing up in that environment. Single mother. And it's funny because I preached about this today and just talked about how growing up in that single parent household, you know, my mom did the best she could, but the one thing my mom could not teach me was how to be a man.
Right.
How to handle my aggression, how to handle my emotion, how as a man it's okay to show emotion. And so I watch, you know, when I look at the dichotomy between how I grew up and how my children are growing up, I watch how me and my wife are able to balance each other out. There are times where I may be too hard and she may be able to come in and be like, you know what, the way you handled that might not been the best way, but I didn't see it. And so it helps me be able to soften it up a little bit or when I'm dealing with my daughter, she's able to help me understand how certain things are perceived in a daughter to father relationship that I would not have any concept of.
Right, for sure.
And so being able to get those two perspectives in the household, and then the flip side of it is my children get to see how you should properly love a woman.
Right.
My son get to see how to love a wife, and my daughter get to see how a husband is supposed to treat his wife.
That's deep.
And so for me, it's about being an example. I want my children, I want my daughter to be able to look at me and how I treat her mother and say, that's what I want for me. I want my son to be able to look at me and be like, that's how I want to treat the woman that I love.
Yeah. But because I remember, like, my mom telling me one time, you know, so I came from a 2-parent household, right? Boom. My dad was there physically, but sometimes he wasn't there mentally. Sometimes he wasn't there when I needed him. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, like, my mom always told me, she's like, don't treat a woman how you don't want to be treated. You know what I'm saying? Because how you don't want your mom to be treated.
Right.
Don't treat, you know what I'm saying? So I got to love my mom, right? My, dang, she said that, right? And I'm just thinking like, you know, thinking wild and thinking other things, not thinking like, damn, what she's saying is don't treat nobody how you don't want your mom to be treated. You know what I'm saying?
But here's the flip side to it. So because I got 2 daughters, I can't treat their mother in a way I wouldn't want a man to treat them. Because I'm showing them what is okay. I'm teaching them by them watching how I treat their mother. I am teaching them what's acceptable.
That's true.
And so in their head, if it's okay for my father to treat my mother this way, then that should be acceptable behavior.
True.
And so even with my son, I told my son, I said, listen, as much as we talk about generational wealth, as much as we talk about the things we pass down, like my kids know, we talk about stocks, we talk about all of that stuff. My children know what insurance policies are. The insurance policy got the financial advisor name written on it, who I want them to contact if something happened to me. But I told my son, I said, listen, I want to show you that you can be so much of a man that one woman can completely satisfy you.
Wow.
Now listen, I know in this world of polyamory and everything else, and a lot of people like, hey, you can't just have one woman. But you know what? I am changing that narrative because I have not seen a relationship where a one man and multiple women work. So what I'm trying.
What name Neo?
Okay. So
I'm just making sure that, you know what I'm saying, Neo got something going on.
I'm trying to show my children something different. So I told my son, on the day you get married, I'm going to pass you a mantle of fidelity. Because I want you to understand that as an Albritton, we are faithful to our families. We don't leave our families. We don't gamble with something proven for something unproven.
True.
I'm a banker by profession. I work for Truist. I've been married 25 years. That's a deposit I've made for 25 years that I have to get a return on that investment. Any woman that approached me outside of that, that's a bad investment because it's going to ruin the return I got invested for 25 years.
Right.
But he ain't on here. Hey, but he on here preaching, ain't he?
Yeah.
Hey, don't start preaching now, Terrence. Don't start preaching. But listen though, for real though, I can dig that because the thing is, like, you want to show him a better way. You don't want to show him, like, you know what I mean? Like I was saying the same thing my mom told me, like, because I was saying, she was telling me, like, you don't want to hurt. If you don't want to hurt me, you don't want to hurt that person. So you know what I'm saying? That's deep. That's deep. You know what I'm saying?
Because we don't want our kids to look at us. We don't want to say, watch me and do what I do.
Right.
We don't want to say that. But it's amazing because when you think about, because I'm a believer. When you think about Paul saying, follow me as I follow Christ, that always resonated with me. Because he was saying, listen, if you want to follow Christ, all you got to do is follow me because that's all I'm following. So what it dropped on me as a father was, look at my son in his eyes and say, follow me,
Mm-hmm.
watch me,
Mm.
do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Now, when you say that to your son, what does that mean about your own life?
Mm.
You can't afford now to fall.
Right.
You can't afford to slip. When I say to my daughters, watch me, look at me,
Mm.
watch how I treat your mother,
Mm-hmm.
watch how I provide for y'all, and that is what you set your bar for.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does that mean? I have to watch how I treat their mother, not just in front of them, even
No, yeah,
outside.
period, yeah. See, listen, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I got my partner on here. You know what I'm saying? So he can spit this real, because people don't understand. Like, they be thinking like one way and this way. That's the best way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
he's showing an example. You know what I'm saying? So showing an example is like, hey man, and I'm saying that to me because I'm preaching to the choir myself.
Right.
Because I can't say that I didn't show the right example, right? On sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But I did show some right examples. So you're saying, because nobody ain't perfect.
Nobody.
Like, nobody's
Right.
perfect.
We all gonna fall.
You know what I'm saying? So what you want to do is to try to show these cats like what's going on, and then once you like my cousins told me yesterday, they said, hey man, you can't be embarrassed by nothing nobody do, because once you raise them the right way, and they go a different route, that's on them.
Mm.
That's the route they're trying to go. Their path is, your path, you try to make that path clear for them and for them to do what they're going to do, right? You know what I'm saying? But if they go a different route, hey, man, that's them. You know what I'm saying? And you can try to change it. You can try to tell them right way, but they're only going to listen because when they're grown, they're grown.
Mm.
You know what I'm
Most
saying?
definitely.
Hey, they say 18 they're grown, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, when they're grown, they're grown. When you got grown children, like my man here, he got his daughter. He got one daughter who's grown, but he got
27.
other daughters, and his daughter and his son who's a younger.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
So they still these. Like my kids are grown. Like my
Yeah.
baby 25.
Yeah.
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? So I can tell her and try to guide her still to this day. But you don't go that route. You don't go that route.
Mhm.
And Daddy got to go and live his life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Can
saying?
I give y'all a perspective from another angle?
Okay.
As a guy who does not know his father,
Right.
and who was raised by his mother, and who was raised by a mother who was abused by several different boyfriends. So the angle you guys are going, I understand. I get it. But also in that angle, when I was dealing with my mom and her abusive boyfriends, it also made me feel like, okay, I know I don't want anybody I deal with to feel like my mom's feeling. You get what I'm saying? You guys say you don't want to treat them that way. My mom is literally being treated that way.
Right.
So I'm learning that, hey, I don't want my mom, I don't want my girl, my wife, whoever I'm with to be crying and upset and swollen and bruised like this, like my mom is doing. So I have to, navigate a better path.
Right.
And when I did get married at 18, and I was married for 25 years before my ex-wife decided that, she missed out on a few things. So
Right.
and my children are 30, 36, 35, and 33. So trying to raise them and not really, I guess the thing I'm trying to say is not really knowing which path to send them down was a little bit more difficult for me. Even though I went to college, I got master's degrees. My wife went to college, she got master's degrees. It still was a learning experience because we were so young when we got married and when we had children. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes that bad experience can lead you to a better experience.
It's interesting you say that. When you think about our lives, we are printed. You have your life prints.
Mm-hmm.
Things that happen in your life print you.
Mm-hmm.
You have your family prints.
Mm-hmm.
The way you were raised print you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're talking about. Your family print, the
Mhm.
way you were raised, affected how your future became.
Right.
So think about this. I remember vividly being in Four Seasons, coming home from playing basketball. As soon as I opened the door, I heard my mother screaming.
Mm.
I thought someone had died.
Mm-hmm.
But I found out that she had found out in that moment that my stepdad was cheating.
Mm.
I couldn't have been no more than 14.
Mm-hmm.
And all I could think of was I will never make a woman feel that way.
Right.
And so that's why I tell people all the time, 25 years, I may have a lot of issues, but infidelity has never been my issue.
Mhm.
And that is the primary reason why. Because I still remember
Damn.
how my mother
Yeah.
was
How she
crying
was crying.
Mhm.
when she found out.
Mhm.
And I cannot make a woman feel that way.
That pain that we go through and we suffer as children is always imprinted on the back of our mind.
Yeah, it's
We
a trauma. It's a trauma.
Right, it's a trauma that
yeah.
we always have to deal with. Whether we get over it or not, we still deal with that trauma in our everyday lives. And I think to my detriment, the way my mom was treated, how she was abused so badly when I was younger, kind of a little bit to my detriment because I was so passive aggressive. I didn't want to cause any problems. I didn't want to cause any stuff. And I think my ex-wife kind of took that to her advantage a little bit. Neither here or there, but it was to the point to where I was saying, well, no, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to let that slide.
And
You know what I'm saying?
And here's why I give an indictment on men. Of course, after being married for 25 years, God forbid it be to death do us part. But let's say in the event something was to happen, there's nothing that could be done to prevent me from seeing my children. Whenever anybody reach out to me and talk about not being able to see their children, I always ask them, have you been to court?
Mhm.
If you're not willing to go to court
Right.
to see your children,
Mhm.
you don't want to see them.
That's it.
You don't want to see them.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's true because, like you saying, like if you ain't gonna go the extra mile, so you thinking like, okay, she said you can't see him, so okay, boom, I can't see my children, so it's over with. Oh, she doing it, she getting child support. I don't see it. Nah, man, go hey, do what you gotta do to see your children if you want to see your children.
If you want to see your children.
Yeah, for sure. She can't stop that. She
I
can't stop that.
I can't understand, especially when your children are young, as a man, how you can sit down and eat and not knowing if your children can eat.
Wow.
Most
I ain't talking about nobody.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm
yeah.
just talking about me.
Right.
I
right.
can't understand that.
Right. For
Right.
Sure.
A child that you birthed,
Mm-hmm.
that's a part of you, your line,
Mm-hmm.
your lineage.
Right.
Like, that is your child.
Mm.
Now, to Chris' point earlier, I am not responsible for the choices you make as an adult.
Right.
Most definitely.
All I can do is guide you, try to set an example. But at the end of the day, you got to make your own choices. And too many parents hold themselves hostage to their children's choices.
Accountable. You hold yourself. And I did for a while because when I got divorced, my youngest son was 18. My children were older and out the house. My daughter had already had a child by then. So, but the path they went down a few times, I was like, man, maybe if I would have stayed and just fought through it. You get what I'm saying?
Right,
What if
right.
that, maybe I could have steered him. Maybe I could have showed him a different way. But I was talking to him all the time. I was texting him and talking to him all the time. So then I had to say to myself, once I got counseling, because counseling is very important for black men to
For sure.
understand that
We don't-
there's a lot of
we're
trauma
scared-
that we
we're
deal
scared-
with.
We're scared to do that.
My
we
therapist
scared to do
helped
that.
me greatly. Listen, you can have your Bible and your therapist.
Right, you can, and I don't think a lot of us. I think if we all went and did that as black men who have children, and
Right,
married
right, right.
adults, and all that, just went and did that. A lot of things could be solved. A lot of things
Man,
could
I'm
be
tell you
worked
something, bro.
through.
For real, I had a therapist, right? And when I was talking to my therapist, he opened up so many eyes to me, and I was like, damn. I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, I got all the answers and this and that. I talked to that man. Man, that man was he would give me the 3rd degree,
Mm.
and it was cool because I was hearing it from somebody who don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
Who ain't gonna be biased to me, because I got people who say, "Oh, by that Chris, we're not gonna kick it like that with him." Nah, the man was giving me the real deal, Holyfield, man. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like every person should go there. So cause we got so much trauma in our life, man. We go through things. We be like, "Damn, I'm good, but you're not really good."
Because we're not taught that
Right.
as young men.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
when you grow up in the hood,
Mm.
you're not taught how to handle your feelings.
Mhm.
You're not taught how to handle your emotions.
Right.
That's true.
You're not taught how to show love.
Mm.
You definitely not taught how to show love to a brother.
Right,
And be
right.
like, man, I love you. You
Love
my,
you,
like, you my,
yeah,
like.
yeah,
You're not
yeah.
taught that, and so you grow up not understanding how to love someone,
Mhm.
and then now you go to a relationship. Here's what I tell men all the time: your marriage will always fail if the first time you're trying to be faithful is when you get married.
Damn.
Because you don't know nothing.
You cannot practice fidelity once you get married.
Right.
You have to start practicing fidelity before you get married. Just because you put this ring on, don't make you just say, hey, I'm finna be faithful to one woman. No.
Right.
Your first time trying to be faithful to a woman should not be when you get married.
I told Real don't come here preaching.
Listen,
That's real talk.
listen, you'll fail every time.
Right.
Real talk.
Because you don't have any practice.
You don't have no
You
practice
don't know how
at
to
it.
sustain that. You don't know how to. You don't know what comes with that. You still gonna have
And
the
then the fact-
temptations,
and
and you
like
got to
the
know how
same
to
thing he
navigate
was-
those
The
things.
same thing he was saying earlier, how he was saying he was showing his son that and showing his daughter that and showing somebody like and when I was saying how my mom told me like, do you want your wife to feel this way?
Mm.
I'm
And
like,
here's the other thing about being faithful. My mother, back then you had to call the house phone.
Yeah.
right.
If my mom heard a different girl voice, she hung up.
Mm.
Cause my mom was like, no, that is not what you're going to do.
Mm.
That is not what you're going to do. But what it taught you is it teach you, okay, hey, I'm learning how to love one woman. I am learning how to be so much of a man where one woman can completely satisfy me. Now when I get married, I already have practice in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you, listen, it's like a muscle. If you haven't developed that muscle of faithfulness, then when you get married, you're still not going to be faithful.
Right. You got to shoot in the gym a couple times. Get that practice in.
Yeah. Hey man, it's deep,
So,
man.
so
Look,
too
look.
many men go into their marriage and have never been faithful to a woman in their entire life, and they wonder why their marriage failed.
If y'all on here listening,
Got no
we got the number 678-740-9894. You want to call in and give your response or give anything you want to say about the situation with
You
that.
can tell me I'm wrong.
Right,
You
right.
can tell me, man, that guy don't know what he talking about.
Right.
As
Call
men,
in.
we were designed
Call
to
in.
be
Call
with
in.
one
You want to
woman,
say anything?
Yada,
you know what I'm
yada,
saying?
yada.
Yeah.
But listen, back to your point. Yes, the ideal situation is for your children to be raised in a two-parent home in a loving environment.
Mm-hmm.
But the key word is loving environment.
Loving.
If the environment is not loving, staying married for the sake of your children is
It's
not
some bull
ideal.
crap. It's
Because-
BS. It's
Because
BS.
what are they seeing?
Right.
Right.
You're teaching them how to be in a relationship that shows no love towards each other,
Mm-hmm.
that shows no affection, that shows no compassion. And so you are vicariously raising a child that will not know how to show anybody love and affection and will think that's normal in a relationship because they saw mama and daddy do it.
Mm.
Whoa.
Mm.
Whoa.
Mm.
Hey man, we got
Give me a swoop on.
Hey, man, we got to because that's the real though. Because I think that's the normal. That's the normal. Hey, that's how my mom and daddy
It's
raised.
normative behavior. They won't even know nothing is wrong because to them, this is just normal life. You don't hug, you don't kiss, you don't go out on dates.
Man,
You
Right.
don't got
man,
fixing your
listen,
plate.
Man, let me
Right.
tell you something. I can say that I am a fucking witness to this situation. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna say that, my kid may be watching whatever going on, but I know that when me and my ex-wife, our stuff, we was toxic. You know what I'm saying? So the thing, what happened was when my daughter got into her relationship, her and her dude, they fighting and fussing and everything, and it's like, oh, that's normal because that's what I seen.
Mm-hmm.
You thinking that's love? That's not love. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So you can't just be like, that's the key to show these people, man. Like, no, man, no. You can't love. That's not love. You know what I'm saying? So you be like, dang, man, that was going on here. That was showed out. Everything we do and growing up around these kids and stuff, it shows to them.
Listen,
They know.
the road your child will follow is
Right.
going to be the one you thought you covered up.
Right.
Mm.
What we model, they mimic.
Right.
Right.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
How do we navigate it past that? Because I was raised past it with our grandparents. Because I was more raised with my grandparents. I was with my mom sometimes, most of the time, but I was with my grandparents a lot of times too. But I never saw them hug or kiss. I never saw my granddaddy tell my grandmama I love her. But I never had any doubt for her love for him and his love for her.
Here's
You
what's
get what I'm
interesting.
saying?
Yeah, here's what's
Even though it was
interesting.
never shown,
Listen,
I never doubted it for one. I knew he was standing for the train to save her life.
here's how you
Right.
navigate it. Here's
Right.
how you navigate it. Now, here's the thing. As men,
Mm-hmm.
we are taught from the bedroom and everything else that we are the man.
Right.
Right.
So think about it. You have all these relationships before you get married with women. Some you don't care about. Some you had no feelings for.
Mhm,
Some you
mhm.
probably didn't even remember their name. There
Right.
was no emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And now you get married. But your behavior has been being intimate with people who you did not love.
Mm.
And so now you're with your spouse and you're performing the same way
Mhm.
because that's all you know.
Mm.
And now there's a disconnect, there's an intimacy issue because really you don't even know what intimacy is because you've never had to display it in your other relationships.
Right.
So you say how you navigate.
Mm.
You got to sit down and you got to ask them, what do you like?
Mm.
What do you don't like?
Mm.
Okay, let me give you an example.
And we weak when it comes to that because we as men we don't want to ask that question
Because
because
we
we want to feel like we already know what's
Yeah,
up. We know what's
Ego,
up.
then your wife telling me, your
Right.
wife being like, she's not being pleased.
Right.
Right.
And then we
right,
say
right.
it's her, it ain't us.
It ain't no. So here's the thing. So
Right.
check it. So imagine all three of us go to Six Flags for the first time.
Right.
So we ride the bumper cars.
Right.
We go hit the Scream Machine. I ain't been there years. We go
Right.
ride the Superman.
Yeah.
And let's say my wife and her friends go. And they go ride the Willie and ride some other stuff. Now, me and India meet up and we go to Six Flags together.
Mm.
I say, well, I want to ride the Scream Machine. She say, I don't like that because it make my head hurt. Let's go ride the Willie.
Mhm.
I say, I don't like the Willie because it make me sick.
Right.
Now we sitting in Six Flags arguing over what we want to ride. Why? Because we don't like the same ride.
Right.
But why don't we like the same rides? Because we've already been with other people.
Oh, right.
So you develop what you like with people who is not your wife.
Mm.
Now then you go into your wife wanting her to fulfill everything from your past. You want her to be able to do this like this girl, but you need to do this one like this over here. But then I want you to do it like this from this over here. So what you really want in the bedroom is a Frankenstein.
Mm.
Somebody you can create.
You take the best parts of all of your sexual relationships from your past and you expect your wife to fulfill them.
Mm.
That's not fair to her.
Mm.
Now imagine a relationship where you go to Six Flags together for the first time.
Right.
You ride every ride.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go back, now y'all together on
And
the
you know-
ride.
you know-
rides,
you
the
know what
ones
you don't
y'all
like.
But
You
you
know
know
what you don't like.
know what the issue I have with that, and I'm not gonna say it's an issue. Let me rewind that. The thing we did that. Me and my wife got married very young. She was 17, I was 18. So we were learning and going together.
Y'all was growing up together.
We were growing up together.
Yeah.
The problem that I had is that we rode all the rides together. We learned all the rides together. We knew exactly what rides we wanted to ride, what music we wanted to listen to when we ride it.
Mhm.
And then she decided that she missed a few rides and
Mhm.
she needed to go back once we got 25 years into riding these rides.
Mm.
That's the issue that I dealt with because it was like, I feel like I missed a ride. I feel like there was a ride that I needed to ride, but because we were focused on our rides together, that I didn't see. You get what I'm saying? So when you're growing and you try to ride them rides together and you try to learn these things together, I felt like, well, what ride did you miss? And she's like, well, the Batman was over there 2 blocks down and we didn't never go that way.
Mm.
But I heard all the people screaming and laughing
Batman
and
was
having a good time.
The
But-
Batman that ride.
Right, but we didn't.
But think about it. But here's the sad reality to that. You're in a marriage and you're craving somebody out of your past that you gave a piece of you to,
Mhm.
but they didn't feel you was worth marrying.
Right.
So now you want to hold the one who felt you was worth marrying to a false standard
Right.
of somebody in your past.
Mm-hmm.
It was so long ago that you got revisionist history that you can only even recall the good part.
Right.
You don't even realize what made that relationship not work.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that person from your past was truly all of that, why you not with them?
Exactly.
Whoa.
That's the question that you ask and you don't get an answer to.
Get where them bombs at, bro?
Oh, hold
You
on.
got hey, man, get them bombs up. For real, though. That's real talk,
So here's the
bro.
thing, though. Here's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like in 25 years of marriage, me and India has spent the time kicking through the tulips.
Oh no, you know definitely.
Have there been some moments and seasons where we was like, I don't want to do this no more? But man, I made God a promise. I got to look my kids in their face. I want to walk my daughter down the aisle one day. You know why most of our children don't want to get married? Because if it didn't work for their parents, why should it work for them?
True.
Damn.
True.
Damn.
Why would I want that? You gave me a poor representation. I don't want that.
Damn. That deep.
But you
now.
know what?
That deep now.
Let me get everything that comes with it. Let me get the children. We can shack up. Oh, but we ain't getting married. Because I've never seen it work.
Right. Right.
So you think that when Oprah never got married to Stedman?
I think Oprah married. She just ain't telling y'all.
She might not be married because Oprah she may like the other side. So you know what I'm saying?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So that may be a cover up. But what you're saying to say that the fact is like you be the person all that time, draw them all out, and your kids don't see none of that. You know what I'm saying?
But look at society. Society make marriage look bad.
Oh, most definitely. We
They'll
can't
tell you
don't-
40-some% of marriages fail, but that means 60% don't.
Right.
Yeah, it's 60% don't. They're gonna tell you that number, but they're gonna
But
tell
they
you
won't
60,
tell you
60.
Now
That's
the
true.
6%.
That's true.
Here's the thing.
That's true.
They won't tell you that statistics say
Marriage
that most successful men have been in long-term marriages. I can tell you right now, unequivocally, that I will not be where I am in life if it was for
your wife.
My wife. Because there were times I wanted to quit. There were times I didn't think I deserved it. There was times I wasn't willing to fight, and my wife was like, no.
Right.
It's funny, man, because I got to go back to Bible.
The
First time the Bible mentions a woman, it calls her a helper for him. Let me let that sink.
Now the sink, let it sink.
The first time a woman's name is mentioned in the Bible, she is called a helper for him. It was God that looked at Adam and said, Adam, I've given you land. I've given you resources. But it's not good for you to be alone. He said, I need to send you someone that can help you achieve what I've called you to. And see, we don't view our wives, our relationships, as God bringing somebody in our life that's going to help me achieve what he's called me to. But that was the first thing he called her, a helper for him.
Yeah, but in today's society, you have the parallel of I ain't no helper. I'm a boss. I'm a boss chick. I ain't no helper. You know what I'm saying? You have that mentality. And see, nobody ever says that part of the Bible that you just said.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
They always make it seem like Eve was evil, making Adam bite that apple. That it was never discussed as she was a helper for him to help him move forward in his life to do
But that
things
was
he needed
Adam's
to
fault.
do. Okay.
I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Here's what you got to realize. When God told Adam not to eat from the tree, Eve wasn't around yet.
But see, that picture's not painted though.
I know. Let me finish.
Okay.
Eve wasn't around yet.
Right.
Adam named everything in the garden, every animal. Now, Eve get to a tree. She went there by herself. The Bible clearly says, and Adam with her. So Adam sit here and let his wife have a conversation with someone, and that person repeated back to you what God told you when nobody else was around. But he added to it. So Adam sat there and watched his wife do something that he know God told them not to do. And think about it. When God showed up, what did Adam say? He blamed God. He said, the woman you gave me. Remember, God, it wasn't my idea for you to create her.
You set them my way.
You said I needed her. And Adam said, yeah, but you know what? He said, listen, she was deceived. You weren't. That's why your punishment is going to be what it is.
Right.
Because she were deceived, but you were disobedient, Adam.
Mm.
You were the covering.
Mm-hmm.
You did not cover and protect your wife. Ooh.
So listen. So let me tell you. So that's why I asked you to come on to the show, right? To have a different perspective of things. And the topic was about, we are moving on to another way, right?
Yeah.
But the topic was about
it's
all the same. It's all the same
Because
thing.
you
It's
can't
our
be
family. It's
yeah,
our family.
you
It's our
can't-
family.
Listen, but here's the thing. It talks about the two-parent home.
Mm-hmm.
If the father and mother can't relate the proper way,
Mm-hmm.
then that destroys the two-parent home.
Exactly.
So the mother and father have to be able to relate in a certain way that sets an example and tone in the house
Mhm.
that show the children how they're supposed to live.
True.
Think about in the Jewish African culture, it was the father that was responsible for the education of the children.
Mm-hmm.
The father set the tone.
Right.
But when the father is absent,
You can't set the tone. So the mother had to set the tone. So that goes back to what we just saying, as far as like 2-parent household, and then you got the single parent household. Like, because one thing, like you said, when you were saying about your mom, she cannot show you how to be a man. You know what I'm saying? And because she don't know how to be a man.
Mm.
But we know that the society sets it off like, hey man, this what's going on. Even from the time, like even for the early 70s, early 60s, they was canceling the man out the household. So the man was getting put out the household, so the man couldn't be there. You know what I'm saying? If he was sneaking there, he had to sneak up out of there.
so think about it this way. Why was it a systematic attack to separate the black household?
Most definitely because they know when we're together and
So
we
think about it.
we rock.
Because you can only get, the government will only help you if you separate from it.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
If he's there, you can't get help.
That's
Mhm.
true.
Why wouldn't you want to help keep a family together?
Mm.
Because they know how we're gonna thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the
They couldn't
family,
have that.
bro, you gotta realize it, bro. When the family before this time, before civil rights, before the families were together,
Mm-hmm.
even during slavery,
Mm-hmm.
we were together. We was trying to stay together. You know what I'm saying? Because they know when we're together, we're better.
And so the government says,
Okay,
listen.
Yeah.
we'll help you raise your children
Mm.
if he's not around.
Wow.
Right. Because you don't want your children being raised by by a black father who is strong, who's going to raise them to be strong,
Because you would think
independent,
a
and
government of
right.
the people would want to keep families together.
Right.
So why is it that the benefits were cut off if
If
the
the
father
child
was
was
in the
there,
home?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because that goes against the principle of we need them to be reliant on
It was
the government. Right.
Systematically. It's systematically.
And you
That's
want if you're trying to raise a working class that's dependent on the government, you have to get them started early. Their mindset has to be changed to where, well, my mom, in order to survive, she got a check, so I need to get a check. If you destroy
They
that
do
mindset,
that. They do that.
then
They
I can
do.
do whatever
They
I
don't-
want to do
they
whenever I
don't-
want to
They
do
don't
it.
change that mindset. That's
You
systematic
get what I'm
racism.
saying?
But that's why you have to teach them. You have to
Yeah.
teach your children about investment. I tell people all the time, in over 10 years in banking, I've never seen somebody that was wealthy, they got there by saving.
Mm.
They all got there
By
by investing. And people always be like, man, how do you teach your children investing? You just got to know two basic principles.
Mm.
Whether it's a bear market or a bull market.
Mhm.
And how you teach that. Okay, told my kids. How does a bear strike?
Mhm.
So it went like this.
Mhm.
I said, what motion is that? Said down. I said, so if I say it's a bear market, what does that mean?
It's
The
going
market
down.
is down.
Right.
I said, so if the market down, that means the price is cheap.
Mhm.
Right?
I said, how does a bull strike? He did like this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I said, what motion is that? He said, up. I said, so if I say it's a bull market, what does that mean? He said, it means that the market is up. I said, so that means the price is high.
Mhm.
I said, so which market should you buy in? And he thought, bear market.
Bear
Mhm.
market.
I said, which one should you sell in?
Yeah.
He said, the bull market. I said, you already know more than half the people.
Mhm.
So when I gave them their cell phones years ago for Christmas, I said, why do you think Dad gave you iPhones?
Mhm.
He was like, because we got Apple stock. I said, exactly.
Mhm.
Why do we fly Delta? Because we got
Delta
Delta
stock.
stock.
Probably by Nikes. We got Nike stock. For real.
You
For real.
invest in your own
So
company.
think about
Yo,
when
future.
your kids, when your kids are young, they're gonna get money for Christmas for family,
Mhm.
birthdays.
Mhm.
A share of Nike stock is $78, and right now a share of Delta stock is $46. So you know what you should do?
Yep.
When they got their birthday money, you got to give me some of it.
Mhm.
And I'm showing you where I'm buying you a stock with.
Mm-hmm.
Your life will be different from mine because I'm gonna make sure of it.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. So that's the main issue. Hey, bro, let me tell you something. That's the main issue of the things when they try to take from us. But when you know better, you do better. So you got the knowledge,
Right.
you do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you know it, you gotta, you know what I'm saying, invest in that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Hey, you know, not to tell my business, but hey, Spirit went down. I dumped down on the ass. It was low. Hey, Spirit, $46, $46. I said, make me 500 shares right quick. Real quick, because I know it's gonna drop. They said it's even with DeJuan, I see you listening, bro. DeJuan said, hey, but by December it's gonna be $8. So if we get $8, I'm just gonna cash out. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna make some money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the thing is, we didn't learn that. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody ever taught us about
None of
compound
that,
interest.
none of that, bro.
None of this.
None
None
of
of
So
that
think about it.
economic
So how do
stuff.
you change your generation? Because here's the thing. Here's what I tell people. Being in banking all these years, here's what I realized. Just leaving your children a bunch of money is like putting a toddler in the vehicle and giving them the keys. They're going to crash out. There's no point in leaving them all that money if you don't teach them financial stewardship. That is bad parenting on your part. If you drop all that life insurance money on your children and you've never taught them about financial stewardship, they'll be broke before you know it. So what I do, I teach my children about financial stewardship. So when we transition, that money will be a blessing to you and not a curse.
Right.
And so even like before I just turned 50, my wife went to Costa Rica. Before I left, 14 to 15-year-old. Here are the insurance policies. You see this name on here? That's the financial advisor. He already knows that if something happens to me, that he call you guys and show you how you can live off this money.
That was up, boy. That was up.
I grew up in the projects.
Right.
Yep.
Here it is. I realized I did not come from a rich family. So you know what that means? The rich family got to come from me.
Right. That was, and I think for all of us, because I'm from Chicago. I'm from the west side of Chicago. And I think for all of us, our idea was, okay, I know my grandparents, my parents don't have it. That means I got to get it. Unfortunately, I mean, I had a big family. My mother had 9 uncles and my brothers and sisters. I had 5 uncles and 4 aunts. So it wasn't a case of it was a small family and they didn't care and love us. They all cared and loved us. Don't get me wrong, cared and loved me because I was the only grandchild and nephew for a long time. I mean, my closest cousin is 18 years younger than me. So it was just a case of I know that we didn't have it, so I always said that I was going to be the one to try to get it. That was the point of going to college. That was the point of getting grants and doing certain things to make sure that I was able to do certain things that my parents and my grandparents wasn't able to do. Now, don't get me wrong, we didn't starve to death, but we did struggle. You get what I'm saying? So it's always on us, but I was hoping my children would do better. You will learn from my mistakes
and all we can do is hope, man.
Right,
Listen,
right.
They gonna fall, they gonna stumble, and we just have to keep teaching and leading.
DeJuan said, imagine if black folks understood this with the drug money they had back in the 80s and 90s when Nike stopped.
What?
Man.
Nike stopped and Apple. And Apple.
Here's what I tell everybody, and people that in my church, please don't forgive me. If I just can go back and get the money I blew at shoe models.
What?
I'm gonna say it that way. If I can just get the money that I blew watching shoe models,
Right.
and put it in the market,
Man, what? Let me say,
But I don't.
and that's why I said what DeJuan said about that, because I know how this street money is, bro. Niggas say, hey, bro, I know me and the other cats I know personally that had, I don't even know, the millions, maybe millions. Like you said, Nike and Apple. Man, we've been straight for life. We right here chilling.
if you had Apple,
Right?
a couple of years ago, right after the pandemic, Apple split. Like, people don't even understand. So you know it's a testimony, not a testimony. My wife on here, I just told my wife Friday, I said, hey, Monday, you're going to see a transaction because I'm putting some money in the kids' E-Trade account and I'm buying them some more Delta because it's down.
Never down, man.
I literally just told my wife that Friday.
Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of times, see, like when I was in college, what year was that? I graduated my master's in '96.
Oh man, don't talk about that.
And then when I got, well, I didn't have student loan. I actually had grants, but I did get. But in '99, I had an opportunity. A friend of mine who was in college, he was like, "Man, you got to get into this Google." I didn't know what it was.
Google. Oh,
he was like, it's 99 cents.
Yes,
99 cents. I had a friend who was really into computers. Like he was real. I mean, he was downloading stuff from the internet in the '80s. Like it took 4 days to do it, but he was down. He was like, "Man, this new thing is gonna be searching." I said, "Ain't nobody gonna be searching nothing on the internet." 99 cents. 99 cents. He bought like 100 shares of it. Right now, I think his shares. I talked to him maybe last year sometime. Just being. He's like, "Oh yeah, them shares. I think they worth about $22 million." $22 million.
So think about it. Everybody say, man, how did Elon buy Twitter? Spending no money.
Mm.
He took his stock in Tesla to the bank, allowed them to put a lien and leverage it to get the money to buy Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's where the boycott becomes powerful. So now they've lost half their value. Well, there's a margin in there that if it dropped too low, the bank gonna be like,
"Give me my money."
Hey, that's why he's worried.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the president is doing what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody talking about Ukraine and the mineral deal.
Mm-hmm.
What's the number one mineral that Ukraine has? Lithium.
Lithium.
What is lithium used for? Electronic batteries.
Electronic battery for electronic.
See, they were trying to get it from Africa, but China took that deal.
Right. So that's why the boycott. That's why you got to watch these next couple of weeks with this boycott, because if that stock keep dropping, the bank is gonna call that loan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in banking. We gonna call. It's the same way with your house.
Right.
If your house lose more value than your mortgage, the bank say, "Hey, we need you to pay this difference."
That's what we dealt with when I was managing shopping centers back in 2008, 2009, 10. The banks were calling those loans. Like the guy would literally buy one shopping center, build it up, then use that shopping center to buy another shopping center. Well, he got to a certain point to where it was he needed to pay $800 million to Bank of America, and they was like, "Hey, we need that $800 million." He's like, "I don't have it," so they took all the shopping centers back. You get what I'm saying? So that's how they were doing deals. People were like, "Well, how is he buying shopping centers with no money?" He's using this money as leverage. This shopping center as leverage. Builds another one. Use that shopping center. Let's go build another.
And they leverage.
And they leverage.
In the banking, you leverage on the top. Yeah. And that's a risk because you one mistake from being upside down.
Right.
That's why you can't go with all these people. They be like, he's a billionaire. That money it ain't liquid.
Mm-hmm.
They're a billionaire in assets. You're a billionaire in properties, which is why if something happened, you don't have no cash you can go touch.
Mm-hmm.
That's why before Holyfield lost the house, when they did that interview and they asking him was he broke, he said, "No, I'm not liquid." Because you had all that money and non-liquid assets. Mm-hmm. You can't do nothing with it.
So you think, listen, back to the topic. Back to the topic, back to the topic, you know what I'm saying? To as far as like the two-house family stuff. Why we want to talk none of this?
None of it.
You know what I mean? Even in school, we not taught that. But they got the same bullshit curriculum in school. And we supposed to be like, hey, this what's going on, this that. You know what I'm saying? Then we get out. We don't learn till we 40, 50. We 35, 40 years old, right? Mm-hmm. This when we learn the real.
Can you imagine if we taught investing?
Yes.
To children?
Yes.
There's actually a white paper app that your children can sign up for that will allow them to make trades. It's not real money, but it's like placeholders.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy 5 shares of this.
But it's giving you knowledge. It gives you knowledge. It gives you knowledge to teaching you. Yeah.
What to do.
So we do all this what we was taught in school, the curriculum we was taught, right? But it's not training us to do things beyond school. You know what I'm saying? You're not training us, so we learn this. So we learn it later. You know what I'm saying? Like, but as far as we saying, like, if we didn't know, right? And our kids, like, what you saying and what you doing with your kids, right? That's what's happening because that's what you're supposed to do to teach them at their age, right? When our kids are going on, and we not able to teach them that, like, dang, man, we learning this now later on in life, but they don't know anything. They stuck
And that's
on.
when you realize, you know what? It's funny you say that because, of course, you see my kids' gaps.
Yeah.
My oldest daughter, 27.
Yeah,
other
yeah,
14, 15.
yeah.
Here's the thing. I wasn't right here when my oldest daughter was this age.
Right.
I was still trying to rap.
Right.
So you know what I had to do?
Right.
Here's what I did. I apologized to my oldest daughter.
Dang. Okay.
And I said, you know what?
Okay.
I said, I'm sorry that I was not the father I should have been when you were their age.
Right.
And I'm also sorry
Right.
that you're sitting here watching me be a type of father with them that I was not with you.
With you. Yeah.
And that's on me. I got to own that.
Yeah.
I got to own that.
She may be feeling the way that you own what you own with them, and they'll be better. They'll be better when they grow up in her age. They get 27. They'll be far advanced. You know what I'm saying?
But
Because, yeah.
I wasn't, when she was their age, I didn't have an E-Trade account for her.
Yeah.
When she was their age, I wasn't sitting down having the type of conversations I had with them.
Right.
Why? Because I was trying to rap.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to apologize to her because I realized.
What was your rap name was?
Night
Oh shit, Night Train. But Night Train heard nothing about Night Train. Nail time.
Give me a swoop.
Hey man, listen. No, I'm trying to say hey loud, cause I know this man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't know who Night Train. He probably did it in college. He must start trying to rap in college.
So my point is, when you get it is when you get it.
Yeah,
And all
for
you can
sure,
do at
for
that
sure.
point
For sure.
is find that generation that's coming up and
sure.
try to give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
Man, let me tell you, that's why I want to get a BMU trade school. I want to have a trade school where we can learn these kids some stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't know it. And the trade is one thing. What you saying? That's trading. Day trading is a trade school. You know what I'm saying? That we need to teach them. Like if they, I know a young cat, right? He done got so hooked into day trading. He got good money.
Mm-hmm.
He young, man. That boy 23. He may be 24 years old. He got a bankroll. You know what I'm saying? Because he got into it, he studied, he stayed down, he went to classes and learned this. So I'm saying with the BMU trade school, bro, I want to have different trades. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're not good at this, you can be good at that. You know what I'm saying? Like, for everybody, hey, some people work good with their hands, some people work good with their minds. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing I want to get, bro. If I can ever get along to get that, bro, I'm going
But it starts in the home.
It starts in the home, now for sure.
It starts in the home.
Yeah, for sure.
And it starts with us.
It does.
We are the tone and the barometer for our household.
Mm-hmm.
We are the tone and the barometer.
Mm-hmm.
The evidence that what I tell my children is true is the fact that I live it out in my own life.
Mm.
If I can't live it out in my own life, why should they believe what I'm telling them?
Right.
This is not a do as I say, not as I do generation. This is I'm gonna do exactly what you do.
Mm-hmm. I'm
They
copying
watching.
I'm following your steps.
I'm following you.
They watching.
I'm following you.
Now they
I may
watching.
not say a word about what you're doing, but I'm watching every step you take.
You ever had your children put their feet in their shoes when you were younger, when they were younger, and walk around?
They couldn't feel.
Do you not realize
what they trying to do?
what that picture is?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm following in your
Footsteps.
footsteps.
I'm trying to feel your shoes.
So here's the question, man. What would happen if your daughter brought you home?
Mm.
Would you be happy?
I would. I can say it without doubt. I would. I may not have been married as long as I wanted to, because marriage to me is forever. But I know that my children and my wife always came first in my life. To the point to when I got divorced, I was confused with what I wanted to do because everything I did was for them. Period. Point blank. If it wasn't for them, it wasn't gonna be done. That's just the way it went. So I know, yeah, I'll be very happy.
And that's the barometer. At the end of the day, if my daughter brought me home, would I consider that a success for her? Or would I be like,
But who's gonna be honest? Which father's gonna be honest with that though?
don't trust it.
Which father's gonna be honest though? Which father's gonna be honest with that?
That was a time I would have answered that question and said no.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bring me home.
But like I said, you got some that won't be honest. But so like how you would say that's what you say, you would feel like, hey, that's what it is. The man said at times he feel like, and I know I'm gonna say about me, no.
Don't bring me home.
Don't bring me home. Because like, hey man, I'm not perfect, first of all, and I know I done been through some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Don't bring me home, like feel it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I tried to do what I did do is try to show her like, hey man, this is what a man's supposed to do. Take care of his household. You know what I mean? Take care of your household. You know what I mean? Please do that because you got these cats out here not taking care of their household, bro. And you like, dang, but you not taking care of your household. Like, it's absent stuff. Cause my dad was in my house, right? But he was absent on certain things. But I knew one thing he did was take care of his house. We ain't worried about no lights being out. You know what I mean? I didn't know that was going on. We ain't worried about them things or getting taken care of. Like sometimes my mom was so cheap. Shit, she might buy a whole bag, got a whole box of Jeepers. Look, mom, I'm not wearing those. Okay, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying though, she'll get a whole box of some Jeeper Creepers, some shit from K-Ball, some bullshit. I'm not going for that, mom. I'm not going for that, mom. Okay, mom. I'm not wearing those. I'm not wearing those. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna get John because I'm doing all the Jones. So you're not gonna get John. I'm not gonna get John all day. With these shoes, you try to play. Hey, she try to play some with these damn shoes from different matches, different matches and shit. Get this side, go this side. You know what I'm saying? But then one thing about it though, they tried. So I'm saying is the fact that did some kind of show, show what's happening though. So I did show that part. But one thing about like you just said, if you might don't want to bring me home because I might not be that one. But hey, man.
So here's my last comment.
Yeah.
A 2-parent home is ideal for the child. If the environment is conducive for raising the child.
Well, I speak that. That's
if
right.
The mother and father cannot relate properly to each other, then you're really doing that child a disservice because you are teaching them that toxicity is normal.
For sure.
For sure.
Hey, guess what though, bro? You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do that right here. We're gonna end it tonight on that right there. What my man just said, man. Hey, I appreciate my partner coming in, dropping his knowledge, man. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes he'll start preaching. I'm letting him preach though. You know what I'm saying? Do what you do. Hey,
to get Grady Baby Cole right now.
That one just say, hey, listen, man. Tell him what you need to do, bro. Where you at? Where to follow you at? Where to follow everything at, man?
Grady Baby CO.
Okay.
At Grady Baby CO.
Okay, man. What you got? What new you got? You driving? I see you shout.
Airport collection.
Okay, then you in the airport.
Atlanta Flight Club. It's an ode to the black pilots.
Yeah, I did that, man.
I think most people don't realize how important the black pilots, the Tuskegee Airmen,
for sure,
and all them were. And so,
hey man, they did our people wrong, boy. Hey man, shout out to our people, man.
You better learn it because they taking out the history.
They taking out the history. Hey man, look. Hey, shout out.
We don't need the government to teach our history.
No, we teach it.
People don't realize in African culture, most stories pass by oral tradition.
Hey man, I say,
we don't have to worry about it.
Hey man, for sure, man. Hey, look, hey man, appreciate you, bro, coming through, man. Hey man, it's a real Atlanta, man. We here every Sunday, 8 o'clock, baby. We signing out. Well, hey, check this out though, man. Kick it with the music, man. Hey man, Adamville shit, baby. Let's go, baby.
Come on.
Rolling off in that vert on triple go things that niggas be hating, cause I'm straight from ATL and the West